Hello and welcome to the 2025 Dockers preview. Duck and Oz here from the Purple Rain and, of course, the final siren. And we're joined with two absolute, one club legend and one club legend in the making in David Mundy and Josh Treacy. David, Josh, how are you?
Very well.
Going very well, yeah. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be back in this room. It's been a little while for me, but it's good to be sitting down with some podcast pros and, as you said, a budding legend of the football club.
Oh, podcast pros, Oz. How good's that? Let's go.
I take it. Training the house down.
Yeah. Well, mate, we're getting into our 10th season next season, so we're verified veterans of the podcast game. Look, JT, we'll start with you, mate. How are you feeling? How's the knee? How's everything going?
Yeah, feeling really good. Good to be back out on the track. Got let off the leash today, which was nice. And, the knee's slowly getting there, but will take a bit more time. But, yeah, building the engine and, post-Christmas should be round to go.
Nice. And Gary Lyon had a lot of lovely things to say about you, and he's suggesting that you're going to be all Australian. I penciled that in too. What are your thoughts about that?
That'd be nice. Nice little goal to tick off. But, yeah, obviously Gary spent a couple of days in at the club here and, had a couple of really good chats with him. And, he expressed that he was a big fan, and that's good to have a media man on your side. So there's not much to take out of it with things like that. So
does big fan cover it? Is that enough? If he's going to pick one key forward to build a team around, it's Josh Treacy. I don't think big fan is enough of a pump up. Gary's in love.
In love.
Yeah, there's a lot of man love there, and he's being modest.
I think Gaz loves you as much as he loves the Wiz. He's a massive Jeff Farmer fan. If you ever get a chance to talk to Gary Lyon about Jeff Farmer, and I'll bring Jeff Farmer into any conversation that I can. Look, just in regards to how everyone else is going, who's come back, as Joshy Garlett would say, training the house down? Who's come back in tip-top shape?
My partner in crime, I don't know if you've seen any photos of the size of him. Jai is looking massive at the moment. He's gained a little bit of mongrel too, so he's starting to throw the weight around a little bit, which is exciting and scary. And I keep reminding Moose and a few of these workers down there that they're going to be in for a big off season.
I was just wondering, with all of the farming boys down there, that there's got to be enough livestock to be able to practice tackling on. And you big fellas going out there tackling this livestock, I reckon, is the best training you could possibly have over the break. And it's great to see the big fella come back ready to roll, because the physicality is a big thing. So you've been teaching him a few things about how to do it?
Not really, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't really been involved in training much, so he's kind of just been taking the charge on his own. It's good. So.
What year is this? What pre-season is this for you?
5.
Pre-season 5, and you've already got pre-season figured out.
Yeah.
Just don't participate too much until February.
It means you've got to fall over in August, though.
And Dave, how have you been?
Going very well, yes. Very busy now coaching a lot of kids sport of my own children, which is lovely. We've had playing a lot of basketball and water polo and hockey and the rest of it. So, and participating in a bit of social sport myself with some of the old boys from here. So it's been good.
Now, I'm glad you said that, because basketball tickles the fancy of yours truly. And tell us a little bit about the grand final escapade, your legendary basketball team.
Yeah, so there's a handful of us. I think it was about a squad of 12 played at Lord's Basketball Stadium on Wednesday nights. The season just gone. We managed to win a grand final last week, which was lovely. And on that side are the likes of Alex Silvani, who can't play, Tendai Mzungu, who's going okay, but can't really ball. I'm kind of in that realm, not great. But then we got guys like Luke McFarlane, whose elbows are still sharp and very pointy in the key and very competitive and passionate about it. Matthew Pavlich popped in for a game or two, was fairly handy, but the man who carried us on his broad shoulders was Zach Clark. He made an error chasing football when he was 16. He's a very, very good basketballer. And having bought a gym with Alex Pearce a little while ago, in career best nick, life best nick. He's a big man, looking very good. And he goes very, very well on the hard court.
And just feeding the beast inside. He's a postman, one would imagine.
He was doing it all. He's far too good for our competition. He's bringing the ball up. He's shooting it. He did win an award. We had our postseason awards ceremony last night. We got a gift voucher at a local restaurant for winning the grand final. So we all got together last night and we had some awards officiated by Tendai Mzungu. And Zach Clark had the brickiest shot award because he made the most, but he also missed the most shots. He wasn't afraid of putting him up the big man.
Righto.
Are you saying Zach should have maybe gone down to Craig Moller?
Yeah.
Style.
Oh, definitely capable. His knees are a little bit creaky now, but he was very good basketball, and it's a privilege and an honour to play with him on the basketball court.
Nice. Well, let's crack into some of the big moments from 2024, and then we'll roll into some membership and attendance stuff. And just to get the fans up and about, we've got 3 key points here that we wanted to get your opinions on, fellas, and that's the after the siren win against Sydney, Moose's goal against Collingwood, and Freo's 92-point win against Alice Springs. So
in the Alice Springs.
Against Melbourne. So
against Alice Springs. That's mate,
good point. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Sydney game was, we were just in complete control all day, and then I remember the sign went up for me to go behind the ball late, and there was that last stoppage, and I generally thought the boys will lock this in. We've had this tied away, big swag, we'll keep her in close, and next thing we know, it was coming out pretty hot, and I was stuck in a little bit of an awkward spot. I couldn't really impact the short kick, was waiting for the big bomb in, and saw the lizard stream out on the left, and he hit Logan, and it was kind of just cross the fingers and hope, or, I'm going to have to come from 13 deep here and try and, make sure this isn't a goal. And it all happened pretty quick. And then straight off the boot, you kind of knew it wasn't going to get there. And, it was just pure joy afterwards, and carry on a little bit from the boys afterwards. But I think, that was all good fun with the win.
Yeah, I love that carry on, by the way. You got to enjoy those moments and really make the most of it. But I think that one in particular was one of those signature wins across the course of the season where a young team who were kind of building and weren't sure about them at that stage, were they bona fide on the road, really competitive outfit, and the courage to jump into the game like they did. I think it was 8 goals or something in the first quarter to a couple of points or nothing maybe. It was a couple of points in the second quarter to Sydney. I think that just really signified a real shift in mindset from the group. And watching on as a fan now, I was so proud of how they went about it. And they held on, and Logan missed a shot after the siren to win it. But the courage to give it everything you've got in the first quarter in particular, it's a really brave and encouraging sign. I thought it was wonderful. Yeah,
the huge road win. And as a fan, obviously breaking down sound barriers and the people who live around you, but really important to get that huge road win and look at it like this is the impetus of a great season. You know what I mean? So fantastic win there. And obviously the smacking, which wasn't against Alice Springs, was against Melbourne. But I think that was almost the complete performance from all the players on the day. Was that the feeling like everyone was just playing their role and it just worked to perfection? Yeah,
it was a bit of a funny one, I think, for to get in like a rural area and away from everything and, in the red dirt, and we couldn't do a heap, to be honest, outside of where we were staying. So, we kind of just rallied together like we were, on school camp almost. And, a few boys did a little bit of sightseeing and that the day before. But then once we cracked into game day, it was really hot. The ground was a little bit heavy too, obviously the turf being a little bit different out in Alice. And it was certainly up to scratch, but it wasn't the same as running around on the G. But we just covered the ground better. We jumped them early, and just once you get on some teams, they just turned. And once we had them beaten, they were gone and never going to come back.
Yeah, Melbourne got a good record in Alice Springs as well. Played quite a few games there, and if you can remember, the narrative leading into that game was, I hope they're at least competitive heading into the bye.
Yeah.
It was full all-round full performance. Absolutely. I remember my second game was against Collingwood at Subiaco, and it was one of those games. We won by 120 points. We'd beaten Melbourne at the MCG the week before, and I walked away from that game thinking, how easy is AFL footy? It was amazing. And I was commentating that game on the radio, and I sat there watching it thinking, oh my God, it's looking so easy for the guys. And the back six didn't have a whole lot to do that day, and it was death by efficiency. They were just moving the ball forward. Yep. The big guys would clunk it and kick straight, or the little fellas would mop up and kick a goal themselves. So it was an amazing performance.
It was actually quite funny because days as forward, you're like, geez, this thing ever going to come down here? This was actually a day I was like, can this thing stop coming down here? Because it was so hot, we were just knackered. And it was like, the temperature and it was coming in pretty hot, but I don't think we can ever complain about that.
No.
Bit of leather poisoning. Look, just in terms of 2024 by the numbers, obviously 19 players have signed on until 2026. There's really good long-term security there for a lot of the players and a lot of the core group. Second youngest team throughout the season, which we heard plenty of times and which was really good. 5 All-Australian squad members, which is the most by any of the teams across the league. And obviously a tough outfit to play against. Believe it or not, people who played against us went 4-19 after they played the Dockers, which is a little bit of a interesting one in terms of a bit of a tough out playing the Dockers. But I want to look at this. You're obviously signed on until 2030, which is quite a long time. Dave,
How do you get those contracts? What do you know about JL?
Dave, you obviously played for a long time.
I did, yeah.
What was the longest contract you
4
signed?
years.
4 years.
Yeah, it was the longest contract.
And you did that, what, 8 times?
No. My last 9 years were 1 year contracts, or 8 years were 1 year contracts. So I was living on the skin of my teeth for a long, long time. I would have loved how long was it when you signed it? 8, 9 years?
6.
Yeah, it was a long one. There's probably some triggers in there to give him another 10 as well. That's an incredible deal.
So if Gary Lyon mentions you on the radio, you get another year. And obviously fourth in the Doig for yourself after missing those last couple of games at the end. So really, really good season for yourself. But I think it's just, how important is it that you know that there's a large group of players that are going to be here for the next couple of years at least?
Yeah, massively, and it played a big factor in my decision and was a no-brainer at the end of the day. And, something since I've walked in the door since day one was about bringing success to the club. And, I want to be a part of that, and I want to help bring that to not only the footy club but the community and this great place.
There's a genuine feel that the success is just around the corner. If you look at the data from 2023, we only had sort of the 2 losses under 13 points, and we had 8 losses over sort of the 29-point mark. And then if you look at 2024, with our losses, we only had 6 losses under 13. And if you look at where we're actually getting success with the club is making these games so close, and we're just on that precipice of something big. So and you've talked about it before with such a young squad, you talked about that school camp vibe, etc. With such a young group coming together at the right time, you just feel that we're onto something big here.
I think we have that feeling, but it's we've still got a bit to go and a bit to figure out, and a lot of work to do as well. And we've still got a lot of big focus areas to tick off, and we've actually, like similar to those numbers with losing under a certain margin, we've actually been looking at when we're ahead at 3/4 time and the amount of times we lost, and we had the highest percentage in the AFL when we were ahead at 3/4 time. So, it's missed opportunities as well. If we can just flip the tide and have a bit more focus for the 4 quarters of a game and really finish off games to secure 4 points and really establish ourselves on the comp.
Dave, as a commentator, do you sense that, I know Duck's going to ask you a question about a comparison between years and stuff in a second, but do you sense that when you see the boys play and how the game styles evolve, do you sense that that's just around the corner, like it could even be this year?
Yeah, well, that's the big threat of AFL existence, though, isn't it? Yep. It's always just around the corner. It's always just one more piece or one more year of development. So I think I've spoken publicly on the radio and elsewhere around the difference between 2023 and this year, 2024. And going into 2023 throughout the summer was the first year that almost anybody on the list had a summer of expectation, except for Nat, except for Sonny. Everyone else on the list has come since 2016. Alex Pearce was here 2015, but he was a 70-kilo 200-centimetre key back, so he wasn't getting anywhere near games then.
Yeah.
And so you could tell in 2023, it was like the weight of expectation through summer had a crippling effect, where coming out of that year was obviously a disappointing year, missed the finals, played some pretty poor football in that year and copped some criticism. And then that criticism, I think, has really galvanised the group and given them a new launching pad where 2024 was really, really promising. And not just because, natural evolution of talented guys having another year of development and players like Josh really popping out, but it just felt like as the year went on, they gelled as a group. the narrative of the team as well externally throughout the year was, yeah, defensively they're great, but they're fairly poor on offense. They need to get a bit more explosive, a little bit more exploratory on offense. And I felt that, watching on, I felt that had developed across the course of the year myself. And then you add a couple more pieces, you have another year of almost the whole group together again. And that's where the hope and the expectation comes from. But having known a lot of the guys in the building and a lot of the coaching group, I know that the summer won't be built off hope. It will be built off work. And so, yeah, I'm one of the people on the outside, incredibly hopeful for a really positive 2025.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I think with 2024 is just obviously Josh, you getting injured, Alex Pearce getting injured. You lose your two key pillars of your team.
Darcy.
At the front and at the back, and Darcy also all getting injured. It's just, it kind of just, you could see that drop away. Young side as well. But look, I think the big encouraging thing for me is the crowds that are coming along to watch us play, and it's really amazing. I mean, Wharfie time still in the
get around
game. Like, apparently they've done it a few times. I not, but it is probably the most electric I've been in a crowd before. You've got 50,000 there, 50,000 for the Geelong game, 50,000 obviously against the Eagles as well. Record attendances for our home game against the Eagles, which is really good. Record member numbers, record number of home tickets sold, fourth highest home attendance in the league, including Gather Round, which I think for Gather Round, actually we were at Adelaide Oval for Gather Round. Yeah, we played Carlton. But and the fact that we've got the most engaged fans in the competition, does that drive you along when you're talking about, like, we got to change that third quarter, fourth quarter stuff, like just having those fans backing us in, bit of Wharfie time to get us up and about, bit of Tame Impala, things like that? Yeah,
definitely. It's almost like the first thing I do when I run out for the warm up 40 minutes before. If you can see people sitting in the top row, you know that there's going to be a few in the house, and that always makes it a little bit more exciting and more intimidating as well, because a lot of teams coming over don't really have anyone here. So the more we can have, the better. And speaking of that Wharfie time, I've never heard anything like that, and it was quite special. Yeah, it's just like the bells and see the boat, or like the big, I don't know what, big ship, I guess. I should know nautical terms. The ship going through the waves, and like the whole crowd just kind of getting everyone up and about. And I mean, if Sharpie kicked that goal, that would have, like, there may have been riots. Like, it would have been one
seats
of the great,
flying everywhere.
It's like Optus was already shaking whilst that was playing, and then I reckon would have burnt down if it was.
Just combusted. Let's have a chat about next year's fixtures. Obviously taking on some really big opposition at Optus, which brings those extra numbers. Collingwood, Carlton, Hawthorn, Essendon, all at home, as well as Brisbane and Sydney, last year's grand finalists. So something to really look forward to. Yeah, any home game is always a good one. Getting in the fans and getting them, be able to come out and support like they can. And some primetime footy, David, is always good, and I'm a big fan of the primetime footy. Usually the Channel 7 broadcast comes over. It's a bit more special feel about it. The yellow footies come out, which I'm a big fan of also. So, and usually it's a bit more of attraction for the fans that come along as well. A few extra thousand come in for the big games, and it's going to be an exciting year.
Nice. We might have to work Gary Lyon there for those last few ones, see if we can get a few more primetime games. Now, you mentioned getting the fans around it. So Freo offering the 3-game pass for $109, which is an absolute steal, and you can do that as many times as you want. I'm putting you guys on the spot here, and I'm not sure if you've memorised the fixtures, but is there anything that stands out? If you wanted to go lock in a fixture as part of this 3-game fixture, what would you be interested in seeing?
Oh, can I start? Because I think my first one will be unanimous amongst us and everybody listening and watching along. But the Len Hall tribute game, round 7 against Adelaide, obviously a massive occasion for everybody in Australia. And Fremantle have made the Len Hall tribute match such a special moment to recognise that kind of history. But I played my 300th in the Len Hall tribute against the Doggies. It was a good night. We had a good win, and it was, as Josh was just saying about the crowds, a packed house, and it was an absolutely electric atmosphere. So I'm locking in that one for my first of the 3-game membership, please.
Nice.
I think that's nailed that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a real big opportunity for the fans to prove to the AFL a night fixture on Anzac Day night would really fit in well, and being in WA would be a really tight fit. And we know people get up for the dawn service, and it's a really big occasion for the country as a whole. But I think that would be a really good fit for that Friday or whenever it is. Like if it's on a Wednesday night, who cares? People will come.
Yep.
People will come, and they'll come and watch footy. And I think in WA it's a little bit like the day's over by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're kind of like, okay, the sport's over. So there is that opportunity.
Yeah, one thing I hadn't thought about actually is the broadcast numbers for the Collingwood-Essendon game might go down a little bit because everyone's getting up for the dawn service, as you just said. Quick afternoon nap in the middle of the day.
Yeah, bang.
Before you go to the Freo game. Sounds like a great day.
And what do you reckon?
Well, you said you can buy it as many times as you can, so I reckon you can just buy it all throughout the year. Just get to every Freo game.
It's over.
Obviously, Thursday night versus Collingwood at home. Like a Thursday night match, I think would be a real treat. That to me, I think, and Collingwood always being the big club, they are a big club. And look, they're probably disappointed they didn't make the finals this year, coming off a flag. So they've got a bit to prove this year. And I think a Thursday night match against them is just prime. That is prime time because there won't be 2 Thursday night matches, will there? There's not 2 Thursday night matches. It's just one. Fantastic, so we'll be standalone. So I think that on the big stage, maybe, no, you don't get Roaming Brian on a Thursday night. We're still yet to have Roaming Brian come down to the change rooms. I don't know if you know that or not. So
we should have, because he commentated the second Melbourne game we played here when we smoked him again.
Yep.
But he mustn't have ventured into the rooms.
Well, we were looking
Brian
for him.
roaming elsewhere.
We were looking for him. Didn't find him.
No.
Would you get him on? Would you get him on the podcast?
I had to say
look,
100% he'll be on the pod.
We'd have to get him on.
He'd have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good Mandra guy as well.
Yeah,
True.
Hayden Valentine's not one fan.
Yeah, we'd love that. But speaking of that game, it's almost like the melding of perfect storm in football sense, right? Thursday night footy, which is everyone's craving and loving,
Yes.
and they're going to have 21 of them this year, 22 rounds of them this year confirmed. So hopefully we get a few more in the back end of the season as well. But night game, which is great, particularly at Optus. I think it's the best place to play in the country, night games in particular. And then Collingwood, who are a big club, obviously, have a big supporter base here as well. So it's going to be an absolutely heaving one there. So I think that's a great choice for the second game.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. We go essentially within the games, Sunday afternoon for the Swannies, Sunday afternoon for the Bullies, Adelaide's on a Friday night, Collingwood on a Thursday night, Port Adelaide Saturday night, Essendon Thursday night again. So another Thursday night match. And then that's all the things that have been locked away. So 2 Thursday nights, a Friday night, a Saturday night.
Yeah, we got 2 Fridays and 6 Saturdays.
The Sundays early on, that's cool.
Yeah,
I don't mind a Sunday early on. I quite like being off Broadway. I think that's okay. Get the boys, get them in, get them winning games, and then we're in the big lights.
What's the official turnover between red and yellow footies for the time? Like, what point do they go?
3 o'clock, I believe.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Loves these yellow footies.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows.
So a 2:30 game would be red footy.
Okay.
Anything after that is yellow.
Why do you love the yellow ones so much?
I don't know, they just stick better in the jukes. I don't know, I feel like we've just had a lot more yellow at the twilight game since I've been here. So I've just really
There you go.
got a love for them.
All right, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here. I'm going to talk about the Sir Doug Nicholls round, Saturday 24th of May, 6:10 p.m. against Port Adelaide. I love the Indigenous round. I think the club does it so well. And the way that we've embraced our heritage with the Fremantle Footy Club and the amount of Indigenous players we've had represent the club throughout the years. And we've only had one game, I believe, in our history where we haven't had...
Unfortunately, Oz, went up to 3 games this year.
3,
Three
okay.
games,
right.
with Piercy and Sonny
Of
not playing.
course,
Went up
yeah.
to 3.
They were so selfish, those games.
Yeah.
The one they missed, the first one they missed, it was like the first time in...
Since 95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since 95,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and it was a game against Adelaide in which there was, again, injuries. Otherwise, it would have been,
Yeah.
So, it's obviously very important for the club and very important rounds.
Can I ask you guys in the lead up, because obviously the club does it very well, what's the lead up to that like throughout the week?
Well, usually, whoever's fortunate enough to design the jumper and all that sort of stuff get to come in and tell a story and really share and open up about all of that, which is very intriguing. And then, not much else different during the week. But then obviously you got to prepare a little bit pre-game because you're with the ceremony and that you're there a little bit longer. But it's just a lot of education as well. And the Indigenous boys educating us, to help us educate everyone. It's a really special week, and I think footy has a big part to play.
Nice. Now, word on the street is that there's a Freo legend who's designing.
Bit of a juicy dangler there, guys. So it'll get
Look
announced a bit
out.
later on in the year, but a bit of a juicy dangler in regards to who's designed the Sir Doug Nicholls round jersey for the Dockers this year. Now, Dave, we've got the retro round. You you played in every jersey the Dockers have ever played in.
Yep.
Up until 2 years ago, when obviously you couldn't, but no doubt you probably would have been like, well, you can just give me a jersey anyway, boys, and I'll run around in it. But
Yeah, and I got lost in the post.
in terms of because you played not in retro round, but you also played in heritage round when we played in like the old South Fremantle, the old East Fremantle jerseys.
Yep.
Is there any of that? How far back do you want to go in regards to retro round? Are you like, let's bring back that random red and white one we wore, or the blue
absolutely.
and white?
It's part of our heritage, part of our origin story. So I'd absolutely love to bring that one back. The East Fremantle one for me personally would be a bit of a question mark because over the course of my career, that was my worst game. At Sydney, the SCG, I had an absolute stinker. In the D50, slid in. It was a slightly wet game. Just slid in for a chest mark, slipped through. They kicked a goal. Peter Bell gave me the biggest spray that I'd ever copped in a Fremantle jersey that day. So I wouldn't mind seeing that one, put to the side just for a little while. But no, I think bring them all back. I think it's been a great initiative in the AFL landscape, and it's been a great opportunity for the Fremantle faithful to really embrace our culture and where we've come from and what's made us the football club we are today.
Yeah, love it. What are you looking for?
I mean, Josh, is there any retro jerseys you want to we've done the 3D anchor, we've done the green away, we've done the traditional away.
One.
So the traditional home one. So is there anyone that you look back at and go, oh, that would be a little bit of a nice one to wear?
I think the all white with the purple.
Oh, the purple anchor.
Yeah. Is it down the middle as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the late.
Yep.
That's a good one.
I think I still have that one at home.
I've got that long sleeve 33 on the back, mate. Got the whiz. Got to have the whiz on the back.
Nice.
I've got to have the whiz, mate. Can't or Cam Sutcliffe, whatever. Whatever.
Cam Sutcliffe, you'd love that shout. Thank you. From memory, Pav kicked 8 against Carlton at the MCG in that jersey, the white with the purple anchor. So I remember there, he burnt me on a handball receive and kicked a goal. I was like, oh, well done, mate. Good job.
Oh, look, it'll be great to see what happens. And, of course, the Starlight round against St Kilda, hopefully on a Saturday. So hopefully that we're looking at that on a Saturday night, and a really, really great thing that the club does again. I always want with the Starlight jersey, I want a bit of LA Lakers about it. I'd love to see the purple and the yellowy gold. So maybe a purple with the yellow chevrons. I don't know, whoever's designing that one, maybe. Bit of an idea from Duck there. There you
Bit
go.
of yellow piping on the edges.
Yeah, that's
Ooh,
it.
look
Bit
out.
of, or even like the Utah Jazz away, Karl Malone, John Stockton style, like purple and gold kind of era. You know what I'm talking about, Oz.
Yeah, I'm
You're
bristling
kinda
towards the
looking
Lakes
at me
because
like
I'm
that,
a Golden State
no
Warriors
Karl
fan,
Malone,
but that's
just
all right.
with-
No. Oh, all good.
And of course, the North game, which is a bit of a different situation this year. Obviously, an away game played at Optus Stadium. Josh, your first initial thoughts in regards to that, getting an extra home game, we'll call it.
Yeah. Always good to be at home, but I did mention before that it's one less week that I don't get my business class seat over East, so I'm not sure how I feel about
You
that.
get enough of it, mate. 1A will still be there the week after.
But look, Dave, as well, how good is this for the competition? And look, even the game down in Bunbury, I think, is a really great idea and somewhere where we can grow the game. But more games in WA, how great's that?
Oh, it's massive. It's such a huge outcome for WA football, and just get around that, get to that game, pack it out, get to all the activations in the week before. Barrack for North Melbourne if you absolutely have to. Barrack for West Coast if you absolutely have to. But let's really turn up for that one in particular. But for Freo to get another game at Optus Stadium, take the travel burden away, get another game in front of, will mostly be our fans. We're the away team, but it'll be mostly Fremantle fans. I think is a huge win, and it's only a small step to the equalisation of the competition, which will never happen. But it is one little step, and maybe at the end of the season, that might be the one that we look back on and think, well, how advantageous was that? How great was that we could stay home for an extra week, get a 3-week block, I think, at home around that game.
Yeah.
You really freshen the group up when you take out that travel burden. So, huge outcome.
Yep. And I think it's all in the hands of the Freo fans now. Like, we've got it now to pack it out, like make it ours, make it purple, Wharfie time.
Yeah, Saturday night as well. It'll be weird. Like we are the away team, so does that mean North Melbourne are running the? You know, they're running the music, they're running the thing. They're doing the now. That's going to be interesting. But I mean,
just get Moose to run the music. It's technically away. Yeah, it's all good.
But look, it's something to really look forward to as Freo fans. Just remember, it is an away game, so you'll need to buy tickets to it. But Saturday night, again, no excuse. Saturday night, no excuse. I think 5:30. Get involved, pack it out, and then North Melbourne can sign like a 100-year contract or something. So they're coming over here. Maybe they can play all their away games or home games against the Dockers over here for the rest of their being.
Okay, so we've got now an opportunity to run through pickups, trades, draft, and the like. And boy, oh boy, have we had a bumper time. We'll start with the trade that, just in case you haven't heard, Shea Bolton's coming across. I'm not sure if you've heard. He's a pretty interesting guy. Now, my deep dive into this, I've spent hours writing the following. Oh my God, that's what my research tells me. Can you add to that?
No. No, I've again been speaking quite publicly around like the Fremantle system from the external viewpoint needed something in the forward half, something that could disrupt the system a little bit, spend a bit of time in the midfield, and kick goals. And I think that's what Shea does okay. So the biggest question marks, I guess, with that is how does he fit in the new system? How does he help out not only the forwards and the dynamic in there, but shop out with a few midfield minutes to give Brayshaw, Sarong, Young in particular, a little bit more of a chop out. So in the back half of the season, they're maybe a little bit fresher, maybe on the top of the ground a little bit more. But yeah, it's an exciting piece to add, isn't it?
Yep. And do you think it tips us over the edge?
Yeah. I said before that 2025 is incredibly hopeful and optimistic. I'm certainly in that basket. But I can't not put my football hat on. There's a lot of work to do until round one next year. And a lot of that will determine what round one looks like. But yeah, all pieces and all signs are pointing to it could be a good year.
Yep, Josh, you obviously played against Shea. He kicked 4. He nearly single-handedly got Richmond in the game at least. I think we flogged him, but it doesn't matter. But when you hear that he's potentially coming over, you're like, come on, let's get this deal done. Like, how excited are you?
Yeah, you speak of that game and you just stand at the other end and you're just like, geez, someone man this bloke up. What are they doing?
Come on, Clark.
They actually showed a highlight this morning in the team meeting, though, saying the backs need to work together a little bit, but it was the Shea hangout over it. It was quite good, but yeah, certainly just a genuine X factor. It's going to be quite good. And I remember JL texting me when it was all official, and he said about where we should play him. I said, I don't care. He can sit on my head, but he can't stand in front of me. So as long as he does that, that's okay.
Yeah, we don't want you to hurt him. But I think as well over Shea's career, you look at his numbers historically, and when he's come back to Perth, he's lit it up.
Yes. Yeah.
Doesn't matter who he's playing or what kind of side he's in. He loves coming home in front of his family to play football, and now we get to see him for half of the season here and a few games in September. It's going to be great.
Yep. Yeah, and of course, I guess first father-son to play for the Dockers because the old man obviously played. Didn't play with you, Dave, not quite your era, but played a couple of games in the 99 around then. So, look, really exciting for that. We've had a few kind of father-sons with Peaky and with O'Reilly not quite getting a game there. But, look, it's really exciting, I think. And a couple of new draftees as well. Murphy Reid. Looks pretty exciting.
Bruce.
Brucey, yeah, big Brucey. Hopefully he doesn't fall apart like Bruce Reid.
Yeah,
but look, it's interesting. So I read, is he fast or not? This is the thing that's got me blowing my mind. One report said he's very quick. Another report said he's not that quick. Is he quick? Is he not?
Elusive.
What does he look like so far, Josh, since you've seen him? He's only been around for a week and looks like Andy Brayshaw gave him a nice glass of water in a photo, which is good on Andy. Real generous bloke. But how's he look out?
Yeah, he's like that flashy, classy player that can get forward and impact the scoreboard. Obviously, I haven't seen a heat so far, but from what I have, little Cooper Simpson-like, the dash, real a bit of X factor as well, a bit of class, but a bit of, not afraid to get in and go and get it.
Nice. Well, he's been compared to Scotty Pendlebury. Likes to get into the time warp, like being able to make time stand still, if you will, but creative with hands, which could be huge for someone like yourself if he's able to break free and just set something up very quickly. But who knows? He's got to break into the side. So licking my lips over that one, Duck. Will be...
Just quickly off script slightly, I love those draft comparisons, like Scott Pendlebury. That is the absolute top of the tree, right? Like, if he's anything like Scott, great.
He's like Scott Pendlebury. He's
like Dave Mundy. No, he's not.
Like, he played basketball.
We'll take it.
And Charlie Nichols, the other guy, obviously coming from outside of WA. South Australian farm boy, love the country blokes. You guys are both country guys.
Wheat and sheep.
Yep, bit of wheat and sheep. Love that. Probably be in 197 centimetre key forward with a fair bit of athleticism. Guys, I just want to step into your, because these guys are coming from Victoria and from South Australia, but what was it like when you moved over to Perth for the first time? Dave, we'll start with you because it was a long time
while
ago.
Yeah, trying to think back. The draft was slightly different in 2003. For my draft, was actually asleep, believe it or not. So it wasn't a big fanfare, wasn't a show. I wasn't expecting to be drafted. Was drafted by Fremantle, pick 19. It was Fremantle's third pick of that night, or that morning. So I wasn't expecting to be drafted anywhere near that high. But I was woken up by a text message from one of Bushrangers teammate of mine, Kane Tenase, who was drafted to Geelong earlier in the morning. Congratulations, mate. Heading west with Dunny, who was Riley Dunn, who was picked number 10 in that draft as well. And we were all teammates together. So foggy mind, took a little while to kind of, what's going on? What does he mean? Figured it out. Awesome. Over the moon. Walked out to my kitchen. And my dad was there trying to tune the radio. This is 2003. This is not 1970. Trying to tune the radio to figure out what's going on in the draft because it wasn't broadcast. It wasn't on telly or anything like that. And he was over the moon. Went in, woke up my mum, who was a night shift nurse and had worked the night before. And she was over the moon as well, immediately followed by tears. And they haven't stopped in 24 years. Yeah. So, no, it was a slightly different experience to what the guys go through nowadays.
And JT, slightly different in the build-up because you were impacted by COVID, is that right? And so didn't really get a lot of pre-build-up, if you will. So good for us, by the way, sneaky steal. But tell us about...
it was a nightmare, to be honest, the whole draft year situation. So draft year was 2020, was my top age year was when COVID just blew up everywhere. Obviously, it was okay over here, but Victoria was just no good. And we'd train for a few weeks. We'd go to play, get called off. On the Thursday night, back into lockdown. So it happened 3 or 4 times, and then it honestly got to like September, and the AFL was like, no footy's going to be played. So Vic Country and Vic Metro had a training day, just like a one-off, lane work, couple of wrestles in front of all these recruiters, and I'd pretty much just trained on my own for 6 or 7 months just to try and stay fit and hopeful of an opportunity. And must have done something okay during that training day. From memory, had a few marks against Jamara, so that must have stood out and got me over the line.
Good one to beat.
Yeah, I think he was just cruising because he was but anyway, he might have done it for me. But obviously we were a little bit unsure. Obviously not having played footy, but whole of draft night, you kind of you want to go, you're not sure. Absolutely gutted, name didn't get read out, and you start seeing names get read out. You're like, geez, how did he go? Got to the next day, was, by the time it all finished it up, it was like midnight. You're on the phone to the manager, look, what's tomorrow look like? Any hope? He said, mate, look, to be honest, I don't really know. And similar, not tuning the radio, but service out on the farm isn't the greatest, and the only spot we could really get good service was at the front door. And it was on the computer, and Mum was sitting on the computer, and I had my phone out on the door handle, just filling in time, waiting for something to happen. And as my phone rang, Mum squealed, and then I, to this day, still don't know who rang me. I believe it would be Bally, but I was just, everything just went bang, like I'd been drafted, welcome to Freo, and then the phone blows up, and it's like, the whole community pretty much come out to the farm, and then a few hours later, Wolsey and that even ventured out to the farm with a bit of Freo gear, which is a great effort because we're a pretty long way out. So from from being down here to up here and in the space of an afternoon is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's huge and also tough for a young fella because you've got all your and now it's more magnified because you've got all the emotions. You got the cameras looking at you, and then you get drafted by someone potentially over the other side of the country and how you're supposed to look. So that media magnification is quite full on. But then if you don't get that, if you don't get called out, and then the cameras are there or whatever, how does that work? And obviously there's great movies about that, but it must have been pretty tough, like to go through that. But even more so with yourself and having footy taken away for that year. But it's worked out great for us. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, signed till 2030. It's pretty good.
Is that all right? Yeah. How many games did you play that COVID year? In your 18s year?
None. Didn't.
None.
One
training
That's
session.
a lie. We had that training session, but there was certain leagues were allowing certain age groups to play, and I had a few connections through obviously playing rep footy and had a few mates, all over country Victoria, and was kind of like just shopping around to whoever was actually up and running. And remember I started at Eagle Hawk in Bendigo because they were going to play, but then they got called off. So then we went to Echuca because I had a few mates playing at Echuca, and ended up playing, I believe, one, maybe two practice matches in the under 18s, but there wouldn't have been any eyes on. But the connection was Andrew Walker was there, and my manager managed him, so we had that bit of a connection there, and was hopeful that a word would get out. But yeah, that was a couple of under 18 practice matches just locally was all I played that year.
And then talk us through the move. So what's the process for these guys? Is it host families? Is that what you guys ended up doing? Host families, and then how long are you there for? And then do you move in with someone? What happened? We'll start with you, Dave.
Yeah, so back in my day, so I had to wait a week to come over to graduate, finish high school. Had that big shindig, came over, and then basically moved in with a host family for a year. And then after that, it was you can stay if you like or whatever. You just got to work it out. But there's then the protocol was to be there for a year to figure out how to be a grown up, basically. And so I had a great time in my first year over here. I didn't play any senior football, obviously, but I went to Subiaco in the Waffle, and they were a really strong outfit, and we had a good year there. But it's a pretty whirlwind kind of adventure, regardless of how you go through it or what your particulars are in terms of your story. But it's a long way to come for country guys from the other side of the country, even if it's just South Australia. It's across the Nullarbor is a long way. It's a big divide. So what the club does now and in the last 10 years to wrap around support, Josh will probably talk to it a little bit more than what I can, but it's incredible how supportive the club is and how welcoming everyone, not just the playing group, not just the coaches, but everyone across the organisation just embraces and welcomes these complete strangers. And it's the openness of trust and respect right from the outset is truly amazing. Yeah,
well, a bit of another whirlwind story, to be honest. I was drafted and then on a plane within a couple of days, and was here for 2 weeks pre-Treacy. Actually lived with Mitchy Croden because he had the farming background as well, so they went bang straight in.
Yeah.
Great 2 weeks, and then we head home for Treacy, and then it was kind of the phone belly was real big on the COVID, and the WhatsApp was firing off flat out because we were obviously back in Victoria and getting word of the border's going to shut. We've got intel of the police, they're going to tell us when it's going to shut. So we get a message one night saying, get to the airport ASAP. And I was like, Belly, we live 4 hours from the airport, mate. Can't just get to the airport. So anyway, we were rushed around, packed the bags, literally straight in the car and off to Melbourne and flew over. And I remember I was moving in with Lockie Schultz because he's from Echuca, just up the road from Kahuna where I was from. And we'd organised to go to Roto because it was going to be New Year's Eve. As we were about to land, they call over and say, the border's shut. Anyone who's been in from such date, got a quarantine. So I was stuck at the airport for like 5 hours when I landed because I had to, figure out where my residence, and they wanted to know everything, had to do negative tests, and it was just like people were blowing up. Like I've never seen anything like it, and was kind of just like a, welcome to being an adult, really. It was a hell of a experience. And then I moved in after the boys for probably a few weeks, went into with Hayden Young, Liam Henry, and Heath Chapman. I then moved to with Alex Pearce for about a month before I was then put into a host family, the Great Mar family, a big farming family, who looked after me for a long time. Well, a year was a long time then, but it's, and the funding and things that the AFL have for you available. You get a living away from home allowance and a few other things to help with everything, and that makes it easier. And obviously the support we have within the club, and then obviously going to a family to have that home feel about it, certainly makes things a lot easier.
So my immediate follow-up question is, what makes you such a bad housemate? Is it 5 houses in like 6 months?
No, I don't think it was me. Tommy Sheridan kicked me out of Moose's place, so had to get out. You know what Tommy's like.
All right, so other picks then. Let's move on to our other picks. So we've got Aiden Riddle, who was pick 7 in the rookie draft. And again, the draft profile on him is a mobile, athletic, tall, and highlights are quite scintillating, actually. Like, he looks like he's got great hands, and he's got the ability to ruck with craft, which is fantastic. And unfortunately, we lost Maxi Noble to the Gold Coast. Really sneaky by them to pick up pick up Max at pick 4. So swooped in on Aiden Riddle, and then we've got Jaden Carr pick 63 in the draft, father son. So that's pretty exciting. So that rounds us to our draft, Duck. What do you think?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I have to ask you, Dave. Like, you played with Matt and Josh, so what were those guys like? Because they were like, they're a bit like the Bash Brothers. Like, they go around, like, remember I think it's the 06 Derby where they were like flogging Benny Cousins and stuff like that. And so what was it like what's it like playing with Matt and with Josh? And then we can probably talk about Jaron.
Yeah, well, I think we see we saw the on-field fierce competitiveness from both of them, and if one was there, the other one was not far away. And so they really backed each other up really well. And I think that was really infectious for the entire midfield group, and that was like Peter Bell, Troy Cook, Sean McManus as well. So that kind of energy is really infectious for the entire group. So hopefully once Jaron puts on a little bit of size, he can maybe front up in that space. But he looks like a really good athlete, good size. My first memory from coming into Freo was walking around, getting introduced to a million people, not remembering any names, and then Matt Carr in a brown singlet, huge tan, huge man, comes up and goes, "Guys, you'll come with me for lunch." Walk down to Freo, down the strip, and he's just this huge figure in front of me, glistening in the sun, looking absolutely beautiful. And we're speaking about Gary Lyons' man crush on our great man Josh Treacy here. My dad's man crush on Matty Carr far out supersedes that. He still loves him to this day. Every time I talk to Dad, he's like, "Have you seen Matt?" So yeah, great. Obviously a great family, great pedigree, and Jaron looks like a really promising one. A bit of development to do, but it looks like he's really up for it.
Yep. And he took out one of the legs in the 1K time trial, if I'm not mistaken, the third one.
Should have seen him. I don't know. Did you ever do the 1Ks?
Yeah, I was behind you guys.
Anyway, our time trial is 3 1Ks every 8 minutes. So whatever you do it in, you get the rest, and then you go on in 8 minutes. And then I didn't do them this year. I was over in the rehab group doing. Hey, I did 12 200s. Anyway, we're all standing there because it's a big thing. It's shocking as a player. You get more nervous for that than running out an Optus in front of 60,000. I don't know why, but you do. Anyway, we're all standing there going, who's going to take this out? Raz, Rick, good runners. They'll get out of the blocks, and this young whippet kid Carr just flew out of the blocks, and we're like, "Did you know he's got to do 2 laps?" Anyway, he hung on and he dug right in, and he showed a lot of ticker, which we know that where that comes from.
Yeah, it's great signs. And at the back of these time trials, I always just think just wait till he puts on 15 kilos. And then see how they all still run really well now. So
that's it. Wait till you're the top weight. Bit of handicapping there. And look, Quinton Narkle joins us as well, which is really good. Another experienced guy, dynamic half forward, can play maybe out on the wing as well, and adds that depth. So looking forward to playing with him.
Yeah, I haven't seen him out on the track yet. I don't know if he's going through anything or not, but similar to show, like another bit of X factor and speed and class down the front half or wherever we may need him.
Yeah, it's coming from two strong organisations as well, right? Like Geelong and now Port Adelaide, and playing games in big opportunities with those clubs. So it brings that kind of experience and the great skill set, which will really complement.
Yep, and they're both schoolmates. They went to Wesley together, I believe.
I think I was talking to my mate about it. Nark, a lot of defensive running on as the wing, and that's where he's getting his games playing for Geelong. So maybe that defensive wingman, something we could look at, something like that. Something a little bit different. And look, obviously the boys back from injury. Yourself, Josh, big Brendan Cox coming back after a little bit of a really bad hamstring, actually. Big Sean Darcy and Alex Pearce, the Moose captain. Is it good to have those big boys back out on the track and getting around it?
It is, yeah. Got a target on Moose's head this off-season. Big Sean is still a little bit away, but he's back moving, and good to see his smile on the big fella's face again. It's
important.
It is.
Yep.
But yeah, he's tracking really well, and to be honest, I don't even think he's had an off-season, to be honest. He's been in here absolutely working his backside off. I know that every time I was in here during our break that he was in here doing rehab, making sure he was getting everything right and putting in the work. So, I know that all was going well with his knee, and hopefully it does, and he has a really good run at it for us because it's important for us.
All right, let's get into some way too early predictions. Looking at next year, JT, going to start with you because this is right up your alley. Leading goal kicker 2025 for the Docs. Who do you reckon it's going to be?
I said Jai.
Jai? You backing in Jai?
Yep. Big year. We're all going to have a big year, but he's going to have a massive year.
How many?
It'll start with a 6.
Ooh. 600 and how many?
Nice. Dave?
Very nice. Yeah, I was going to say Jai as well because I can't say Josh while he's here, but I probably would say Josh. So I'll stick with that. I think his year last year, I think we all sat there with love hearts in our eyes and gushing like Gary Lyon does a lot.
Yep.
We've got full confidence that he can really back that up. And with Jai lifting and let me start again. With Jai lifting and with Jacko another season under his belt and hopefully playing maybe a little bit more forward with the healthy Sean Darcy as well, I think they form a really, really dangerous trio. So, I think Josh can get off the chain again and destroy some key backs and kick him through the big sticks.
Yeah, and with Shea as well. I think the thing is that I don't think we realise as a club, very rarely have we had 3 guys in the forward line that have kicked 40-plus goals in a season. Josh, you've done it. Jai's done it. Shea's done it. Like, Dockers are renowned for not really having we had Pav, and then outside of that, it's like Mods. Mods only played like 3 seasons for him. One of them was a busted knee. So it's very rare that we have 2 key forwards, 1 key forward, let alone 2, which is awesome. And now we've got another guy who's kicked 40-plus in the season, which I think is really going to... And then Jacko as well, who can just...
Oof.
I mean, the guy's a freak.
Oof. I'm going with the Fremantle forward line being the most potent in the competition. There's my way too early prediction right there.
Way too early. Doig medal winner. Josh, you came 4th this year?
It's probably hard to go past Caleb again, the way he started the last few
3 in
weeks.
a row.
Yeah.
Big call. That is a big prediction. I'm going to go the skipper, Alex Pearce. He's obviously got to stay healthy and drink a lot of milk and his bone broth and the like. But, I think he's so important. And only over the last kind of 18 months, I think we've started to, the outside Fremantle people have really started to recognise his significance. So as long as he can remain intact and upright, I think he'll give it a good shake.
I'm going Andy Brayshaw. He's knocking on the door.
Yep.
I reckon it's time.
I think Hayden Young's the man. I think he takes another step up in that midfield. Goal-kicking midfielder. He'll be up and about. But look, we'll see how it goes. And look, we'll finish off with this one. Freo headline you'd love to see on the back page.
I don't know, some crazy like we start. Oh, this is probably on the front page. We start like 10-0 or something.
Not thinking big enough. No. Not thinking big enough there. What, 10-0 and then we lose one? No, not big enough at all. The headline that I want to see is Freo wins.
Yep.
On the first day of October.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, premiers.
Premiers?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just...
We're getting tats, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, look at these
Forehead
tats, mate. You think these tats are going to be are good? You wait till we win the flag and it's me and you, Oz.
Yeah.
Just 2 guys just getting tattoos, being bros. I don't know, for a headline, I'd love to see how Bolton goes this year. I think he's going to be a real big important part of our push forward into finals and deep into September and hopefully in October. Like, I think there's such a desire for the fan base and for the club and for the players to be part of that first flag. And I think we've really got a great nucleus to nucleus. Yeah, that's
nucleus. Yeah.
To build upon, and I'm pumped for this season. I think we're going to be up and about, and so should the members. Why not sign back up, get involved? You're still a member.
I am.
For some reason we get tickets to every game, mate, but you're still a member.
Just
because you want to keep it going.
Whatever.
You know, just a legend. And as everyone knows, I'm probably the diehard non-member that's always been a member for 2 years, boys. So you know. I wasn't an inaugural member, inaugural country member. I think we got like 3 games. That was the old 3 games back in the day. But look, we'll wrap it up there. Josh, thank you for spending some time with us. Dave, thank you as well. Fantastic to see you still going well with your basketball and your hockey. Yep. Just before we finish hockey, penalty corners, mate. What are you doing? Are you injecting them? Are you whacking them?
I stepped in as the injector and stuffed one up. I missed it and then didn't know the rules and so hit it again. Can't do that. So I learned that lesson very quickly, but I was one of 2 injectors in our team.
What about defensively? Are you on the post or anything like that? Are you?
No.
You're not doing any of that? You're like, get me out of this?
That was my one caveat. When I fast. Come and play hockey. Absolutely. I'm not running out like those psychos. So,
All right, fantastic. We'll finish it off there. Thank you very much for listening. And remember, we're at Purple Rain 95, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We do a podcast every Monday. Comes out Tuesday morning, but every Monday reviewing the show. So make sure you get around that for 2025. It'll be season number 10 for me and you, Oz. Bloody hell,
Should get a tat for that.
Yeah, started in 2016, which probably isn't a very good omen. It's not great. Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And remember, is this going to be on the YouTube, Bretto? Hit the subscribe and the bell. Click the bell. Click the bell. All right. Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.